flash through the night. Brainwashed robots dying fast. Shadows flame will never last. Ring is hidden from your sight. Your candles burning low tonight.
Hey Lord of the Rings strategy battle fans, Roman Daisel here. Going to be looking at a mini scenario that can be played between the forces of Rohan and the forces of Isengard. I have the battle board set up here, and this is an actual event from Lord of the Rings. It's more of a skirmish. It's not a heavy battle, though you can make it into one if you choose to. And it's what we call the Deeping Wall. So using our MERP map. So during the War of the Ring, King Theoden was leading 1,000 riders from Edoras to help at the fords of Isen and rescue his army there. A messenger came who was fleeing from the battlefield, whatever he was doing, Cyril, and told him that the army had been defeated and was driven. So King Theoden was advised to head for Helm's Deep, and that's what he did. He turned aside and headed for Helm's Deep. Now he only had 1,000 riders, so Helm's Deep, he came down through this area, and there's what's called Helm's Dike. And Helm's Dike follows the Deeping Stream, and there's a road, and it leads into the Hornburg, or Helm's Deep itself. So that's what he was doing. Now he arrived at nighttime, and the riders came to the breach in the dike where the stream from above passed out, and the road beside it ran down from the Hornburg. The rampart loomed suddenly before them in a high shadow beyond a dark pit. So I don't have a stream here, let's just say it's there. But I do have the breach. This is my breach. A sentinel challenged them, and it's the Lord of the Mark rides to Helm's Gate. I, Eomer, son of Eomer, speak. That is good tidings beyond hope, said the sentinel. Hasten, the enemy is on your ears. The host passed through the breach and halted on the sloping sward above. So sloping sward above. So that means, now they say rampart. Now rampart doesn't tell me if it's stone, wood, or if it's just a grass one. Kind of like a dike. Like the old hill forts that the Celts used. So I'm using my Rohirrim wooden rampart to simulate the dike. And it's ditched. You can see that it's sloped up and it slopes gently to the back. Not a big deal there. In this scenario, Theoden's already passed by, and the enemy is starting to gather. So if you look at the map, you can see that there's Helm's Dike, there's the breach, the road going up. I don't have the road either, but we're doing this on the quick. So basically they have 1,000 fit to fight on foot. Says Gamling, who's now commander there, and Theoden brings another 1,000. So in Peter Jackson movies, he said there was only 300, which is total crock. There's 2,000 Rohirrim garrisoning Helm's Deep with Theoden's reinforcements, and only the women and old young children and women were behind in the deep. All the people of the Westfold. Theoden didn't bring everyone from Edoras to Helm's Deep. Those guys went to Dunharrow. The old, the young, and the women, and the sickly. They went to Dunharrow in the mountains. They weren't going to walk to Helm's Deep. That just doesn't make any sense. So Peter Jackson's concept of geography, I understand the art of filmmaking, that you have to add some tension and all that fun stuff. So as time passed, far down in the valley, scattered fires still burned. The hosts of Isengard were advancing in silence now. Their torches could be seen winding up the comb in many lines. So I don't have many lines. I have many regiments. So basically one figure equals 50 guys. Because remember, Saruman's sending about 10,000 orcs. And probably about 3,000 to 4,000 Dunlendings are with him. Theoden's outnumbered about 7 to 1. But he's behind walls. So that lessens the odd to, like, the maximum during trench warfare was 1 man in a trench is worth 3 in the field. So let's do that with a fortress walls. So the odds aren't exactly that great, as long as the defenders don't lose hope. But the Helm's Deep is a vast fortress, so they're spread kind of thin. So suddenly from the dike, yells and screams and the fierce battle cries of men broke out. Flaming brands appeared over the brink and clustered thickly at the breach. Then they scattered and vanished. Men came galloping back over the field and up the ramp to the Hornburg. The rear guard of the Westfolders had been driven in. The enemy is at hand. We loosened every arrow we had and filled the dike with orcs, but we will not hold them long. Already they are scaling the bank at many points, thick as marching ants. We have taught them not to carry torches. So here I've got my berserker with running man torches. They're supposed to blow out the mines, but this time they're going to act as the torches, and they're burning everything in the valley basically, because there are homesteads there. and every figure represents 50 of the enemy. So I have 7 divisions of 600 roughly. I'm missing a few archers, and each one has 600 men. So there's 3,600 orcs here roughly, and say 600 Dunlendings, which is a host. That's the vanguard. I probably would add more Dunlendings, but I don't have that many archers, and they're coming with torches. And here I have only a small garrison. Now this time, because each figure represents only 20 guys, I got about 360 guys holding the breach. They're not going to wait long. So in this scenario, you could play the Riders of Rohan will just shoot arrows, and normally because the torches offer a target, and there's so many enemy in the deeping as they get closer. But the orcs and men, they don't know what they're hitting because they're not lit up. So when they get close enough to fire arrows, they'll have to fire the normal rate and then -1 in the dark to hit. So they'll be hitting at 6, and then they'll have to see if they hit. They'll have to do it like a double strike, because I don't think the Westfolders will lose many men in this scenario. The idea is to kill. The only idea in this scenario is to kill as many orcs as possible, so you don't have to face them again in Helm's Deep. So you take what you kill here and minus it from what is at Helm's Deep. That's the only reason you would play this scenario. Or if you want, you can bring Theoden's riders out and try and scatter the vanguard at night with horses. I don't think it'll work. He might have defended the breach, but again, they were scaling it at many points because the walls of the Hornburg are much stronger than the dike, so it makes no sense to defend the dike if the enemy's that numerous and can scale it at many places. So they would have had scaling ladders and ropes and stuff, grappling hooks. So it would be an interesting little pre-scenario to get used to the game. But the big battle is yet to come. Again, I would choose light units for the vanguard because pikemen would be useless as hell attacking fortifications. The only reason you bring pikemen is to, in the breach they'd be good. You can use them in the breach, a line of pikemen, heavy infantry through the breach, and to ward off any horses at night. But for this one, you'd use your lighter troops to be in the forefront, and as many archers as possible. So, any Lord of the Rings strategy battle game enthusiast out there, let me know what you guys have. Let me know what you guys think of this kind of scenario. Would it be feasible? Would it be fun? It could be fun, depending on what you do. And what else could you add to this kind of scenario? What are your thoughts on the deeping wall? What is it made of? Leave comments in the comment section, hit the like button, or subscribe. And until next time, this is Roman Daysel. I'm out of here.